What up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Shinobi Squad Podcast. I'm fan service Renji.
Shana Mostella.
What up? It's winter. It's cold. If you guys haven't heard, in the last couple episodes, we're back in the Midwest, but we still got the window open. Why? Because I wanted the cold air so I can wear long sleeves and a hat. So,
Because that's the only time he can do that.
yeah, because I get hot so quickly. I should turn off the heat because I'm just wasting electricity. Today, I want to talk about working for your senpais in the cosplay or nerd community.
Mm-hmm.
They always say, whoever they is, they always say, never meet your heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because there's a big chance you're going to be disappointed or you're going to learn things about them that you don't really care to know because it ruins that magical image.
Right.
You hear that all the time about people who meet celebrities that they've been idolizing for years just to find out they're dicks. That's no different in the cosplay or nerd community. So let's talk about our experiences. With that said, let's get right into talking about working with one of my senpais. This experience was not behind a booth, but actually working for this senpai as one of their staff members. Not gonna name who it is, just to keep a little professional courtesy because there were some good and some bad, and we're still good friends. Great person still. I just don't want to, put some dirt on their name just to make y'all think that they were terrible just because of certain employer-employee relationships that we had. And no, not those kind of employer-employee relationships. There wasn't no sookie in the break room or,
Sucky.
hey, come to my office and drop your drawers. No, it was none of that. I was no love slave intern. Though at times, maybe I wish I was. The pay wasn't that great, but some hentai after hours, that would have made it worth it. Now, I'm just joking, guys.
It's worth it.
Don't work for hentai with your bosses. I mean, I'm just playing.
But I'm saying.
Depending on who your boss is, though. For this person, one of my jobs was to edit video. I thought it was going to be a great gig. All I had to do was edit highlights of the senpais, live streams, vlogs, or just whatever they threw at me. Seems simple enough. I edit YouTube videos all the time. I've got a system down to where I can cut my videos in a fairly decent amount of time. What I didn't take into consideration is how I film versus how they film. Because when I film, I know where I'm going to edit, so I kind of know what takes are the good takes. Editing someone else's video, you don't know how many takes they did or which one is the good one unless they leave you notes. This person did not leave me notes, so it was up to me to figure out what the good takes were. Sometimes I chose the right ones. Sometimes I chose the wrong ones. Why is that a problem? Once you send in the final edit, they look at it and then they say this. Oh, you should have took the other take. It was way better.
How was I supposed to know that?
Exactly. You did it 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't leave me any notes. So that's just one of the issues. That was one big problem. Just picking the right take.
Mm-hmm.
Another problem, creative differences. When someone just throws you a pile of footage and tells you, hey, cut this down to 10 minutes. Once again, direction is everything. I like my videos a certain way. So I'm going to edit it like that. Submit that video. Oh, why didn't you use more transitions? Why didn't you add more colors? Because you never told me to. Then you go back, re-edit everything again, and then they still don't like it.
Uh-huh.
When your client doesn't give you direction or tell you exactly what they want, prepare to re-edit over and over again. For some of you, that doesn't seem like a problem, but then you got to think back. You already quoted them a price. Unless they're paying you hour per hour for edit and you bill them afterwards, you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
A job that should have taken you an hour ends up taking you 5 hours, 6 hours. Then you got to keep in mind all the time you take to bounce it down, then email it to them, and upload it, and all that stuff. Unfortunately, I had signed on for like a 6 months contract. I quickly realized why they were offering so much money.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, well, I paid the last guy this. Is that good enough for you? Oh, hell yeah, because I'm thinking these projects are going to take an hour, 2 hours tops. At the rate this senpai was going to pay me, I would have easily walked away with $50, $60 an hour. Boy, was I wrong. That $50, $60 an hour, quote unquote, ended up being like $10 an hour by the time Senpai was satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
I just spent so much time.
Right.
That was just for simple little short videos that were supposed to be 5 to 10 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
Then came the big projects, which on paper seems easy. I'm going to live stream for 4 hours. I just need you to cut it down to like a 10-minute reel.
Mm-hmm.
First off, dumping 4 hours of footage onto your hard drive, that's a lot of space. Another thing, downloading 4 hours of footage off their Google Drive or their Dropbox, that also takes a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as someone who doesn't like to edit short videos, I can only imagine how incredibly annoying that probably was for you.
Mm-hmm. Imagine sitting down and listening to someone's 4-hour live stream.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way you'll find the highlights. You actually have to physically spend the 4 hours listening and watching this live stream.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're supposed to cut it down to 10 minutes.
Wow.
That's one thing I learned quickly that I didn't think about. I'm not even charging for how much time I'm spending watching this damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then to include editing time. So that became a drag. I try to hang in there though. I really tried to hang in there.
Mm-hmm.
I really respected my senpai. I just didn't know what I was getting myself into. So that fault is my own.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be easier, but it wasn't. And there was times where we had a little like disagreements that kind of like tested our friendship. Because once you do have these issues, like what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if your friendship's just all been on the surface and friendly, everyone smiles at a con. Now this person's paying you, so they can kind of be a dick to you. It made me feel kind of weird that for the first time in years that I've known this person, they're kind of hostile towards me. But I get it. They're getting frustrated. They're paying me a decent amount of money. Regardless how much time it's taken me, they're still paying me to cut this video down.
I just think for someone who is equally creative as you are with your videos, you would think that they would have pointers or notes or something for you to follow in that regard, like just to make it easier and quicker if they want their video done in time, or, you know, it's like you would think that they would give you some kind of instruction to go by.
It was like they don't know what they want. They only know what they don't want.
Right.
So then you're just handing in edits. You like this one? No. Okay. How about this one?
But even that, even if they gave you a list of things that they didn't want, it's still more direction than what they actually gave you.
Yeah. If you had just said this from the beginning, I could have had this video done in the time I estimated in my head. I guess a great example is like when someone tells you, order some pizza, you pick the toppings. You're like, okay, let's get a Supreme. This person sees the Supreme. Oh, I don't like pepperoni, onions, or green pepper. Get
Then
another pizza.
Why did you just say so?
And then you get another pizza. You get a Supreme minus onions, green peppers, and pepperoni. Now they're looking at it. Okay, but I like bacon on my pizza. Give me another pizza. You get another pizza. Oh, you didn't get thin crust?
Rage quit. I rage quit you.
Yeah. And that's what it felt like. That $75, $100 for that video that was quoted, on the surface, y'all think it sounds like good money. $75, $100 to edit one video, but then you start chipping away how much time you spent on it. That was supposed to be 2-hour project, $50 an hour, 3 hours, $33 an hour. But then it ends up being 20 hours. And then you end up getting paid $5 an hour for it. And it's not worth it at that point.
Nah.
So then we get to the dilemma. You want to quit, but you can't. This is not only your senpai, but this is kind of your friend too. And they're depending on you. In this particular case, this senpai had a whole business going on and they really needed a full-time editor. They had to check that off their list so they can carry on and do the other aspects of their business. Then you start feeling kind of bad, like, oh, I don't want to screw them over if they're depending on me for the next 6 months. So then you tough it out. And boy, was it so stressful. Finally, it came down to this final project. We both were just at wit's end. We were done. It was like 2, 3 in the morning. I had sent in like 4 or 5 drafts. I was also going through a lot at the time. I was trying to move. I think you were out of town for a family emergency. So I had to pack up the apartment by myself. I was about to leave for a con. There was so much going on. Nope. This person really needed to get this project done, and they were depending on me. And then finally, Senpai called me and snapped on me. Look, I'm just going to be honest with you. This version of this video sucks. I'm paying you good money, and I expect better. Senpai called me at the wrong time. I was tired. I had a couple things to drink to ease my stress, and I snapped back. I was like, look, you are great with telling me what you don't want, but you not once have told me what you want out the gate. All this money you give me ends up being $5 to $10 an hour, and it's not worth my time. I'm sorry. It's not worth my time. But I'm doing this because I promised that I would help you build this thing up, this whole video channel you're trying to create. But luckily, Senpai was very mature because no one's ever talked to Senpai like that. And they were like, huh. I guess I can be a little difficult. Oh, no shit. And you wonder why I'm your 3rd video editor in the last 12 months.
At least you didn't just like walk away and quit. At least you had parting words.
Yeah, I was trying, like I was hanging in there. Unfortunately, that was our last project together. Senpai kind of like fired me by asking me to make this our last project together. So technically, I was asked to quit.
And that's stupid because that person, all they had to do was just give some kind of direction.
Yeah.
They didn't have to just up and quit on you.
Yeah. It's like, obviously, for months, I have been delivering what they asked for.
Right.
After edit after edit of them telling me what they didn't want, and I had to figure it out.
Right.
There was one video that I did get a lot of direction for, and that video went viral for them. And I'm sitting there like, see what happens when you just tell me what you want.
And then that's what I didn't agree with that person. It's just, they just walked away and just washed their hands. And it's like, had you just been a better person in that aspect, then maybe you would get something in return. But you just want to walk away and that just be it. Like, you just want to magically find this person that knows everything about you, that can just like go on the internet real quick and just find every detailed oriented version of what you want in a project, and then that's just it. Like, they just want to find the perfect person to work with them. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's not gonna happen, sweetheart. You need to tell people what you want. As a creator, if you know that's what you want, you got to tell somebody.
Yeah. That was always my biggest concern about editing videos for people. I've had multiple people ask me, but I've always turned them down. And also, it kind of scared me away from editing video for people. People still ask me to this day, hey, I stream all the time. I'm looking for a video editor. Nope. I don't even care how much you're paying.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. As a creator, I have my own shit I want to do. And I don't want to waste my time making your dreams come true.
Right.
When I can spend that time working on myself. Yes, the money might be nice, but it's just like being someone's assistant. When you're an assistant, you're never the boss. You're just stuck in the assistant life. And that's what I learned from that moment. I'm watching this senpai thrive, doing well in the community, making lots of money. Yet I look at myself and I'm just another employee.
Yeah.
It just felt like another job to me. As cool as it was to feel that I was working for someone I respected and I wasn't working a typical job, but when you break it down by hours, that's what it ended up feeling like. Me and this senpai are still cool. We walked away like adults. I don't regret the experience because it definitely taught me a lot. I definitely needed the money at the time, so it helped me in that way. And I respected that this senpai was able to pay such a premium. I hear people all the time ask for video editors and expect people to do it for free for, wait for it, exposure.
Ooh.
I'll promote you as my video editor. I'm gonna tell you right now, that exposure don't mean shit. Unless this person can direct you to another person that's gonna hire you, not expose you, but recommend you to someone else and you get work that way, that quote unquote exposure credit really don't mean shit.
All it means is like they're just throwing you a bone. Like, okay, I'm gonna put you on my platform, but you still have to talk up for yourself.
Yeah, but
I'll mention you, but you still gotta go out and get your own shit. Like,
let's be honest
thanks.
though, when you look at your favorite influencer or celebrities' photos, videos, you don't care about the credits, who the photographer was, who the video editor was.
I would care more about the fashion designer or the costume designer behind the scenes. But even them, just like, all right, like, unless they did something else that I love, then I don't really care, you know?
Yeah. And that's the same as I felt being behind the scenes editing video for someone else. Yeah, I got credits, but not one person called to hire me after that. Even when one of the videos went viral, I didn't get one call. Yo, that was dope how you edited that video. The only person that got the credit was the person in front of the camera, which wasn't me. That was one of the lessons I learned from that. All right, let's go to Shana. What was one of your first working for Senpai moments?
So one of my very first jobs working in LA was working for a costume designer. She was a costume/fashion designer, such as myself. That's something that really drew me into this person, is because they did the same kind of things as me. One of the very first pieces of advice that someone told me when I landed in Los Angeles was that you can't be a costume designer and a fashion designer because you're not going to have time to do both. This person was someone who was very established as a costume designer in the film industry, and she was also someone who was prominent in the fashion industry as well. I just saw this person as someone who just flourished and someone who just showed me that you can do both. She proved it. So I just gravitated towards her naturally. So when one day I saw that she was hiring for an assistant, and I was like, hell yeah, sign me up. So I gave her my resume, showed her my portfolio, showed her what I could do. She called me back right away and pretty much got started with her right away. And that was my very first job in Los Angeles. I was so excited. I'm working with a big shot who not only is working in like the costume industry and on film and fashion industry and the fashion world. Like, I thought I was like top shit. Like, that person found me and wanted me to be a part of what they're doing. I just got stars in my eyes, you know. Every day I went in just on time. I'm like, yes, get it. Like, I have my scissors, I have my portfolio, I have my everything ready. I'm like, what do you need, girl? What do you need? She was signed on to do a couple of projects. She had signed on for this TV show, and we had to make costumes for it. She had told me, like, yeah, when I sign on for these projects, sometimes I'm going to need you to stay overnight. You know, I got cots in the back. You can sleep over. I got everything. I got you. I got food, everything you need. I'm like, yeah, sign me up, because I do that kind of thing by myself anyway. So, like, I'm used to that kind of schedule when it comes to costume making. There were times when her as a creator got really frustrated, not at anyone like personally, but with the job itself, because it is a very grueling and demanding job to be a set costume designer. We were designing dresses for a magazine. This was like a whole other thing. It was about fashion now. Me and the other helpers had to help her like design these dresses, sew them up, put them together, everything. She was trying to teach me how to do certain things, do certain techniques, all that jazz. And it just got to a point where I knew a lot of that stress was weighing down on my senpai. And I'm like trying to help, trying to be there, trying to do everything that I could. But I'm just one person, and so is everybody else. Like, they're all trying to do what they need to do. But then one day she just cracked. She just started yelling. She started losing her shit. She just like, I need this done. I need that done. This isn't working. I already taught you how to do this. I'm not doing this again. I try not to take it personally because I know how it goes. It just, when the stress boils down on you, you feel like the whole world is on your shoulders, and like it takes a lot out of you. I've been there. But it was a whole nother experience getting yelled at by your someone that you look up to, who's just like yelling at you because you did something that they weren't ready for, didn't know that you're trying to do. But it was just, they were horrible experiences within that.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of good experience from that too. Once senpai starts yelling at you, you just gotta you gotta take it. You gotta sit there and grit your teeth. I remember I had helped her design one of the dresses for one of the projects. I had taken it with me home to continue work on it because I couldn't stay overnight for whatever reason. I took it home with me, brought it back the next day. I was excited because I'm like, this is gonna be great. She's gonna love this. I bring it in, and she hates it.
Damn.
She hates it.
Why did she hate it?
I had added something that was on the trim, like on the bodice top part, that she just didn't like. And then because she saw that, she didn't like the entire thing. Even though it was a design that she approved beforehand, it's just because it was one little detail that was added that wasn't supposed to be added, that I thought personally, creatively, that it would have flown. But she hated it, and I had to take it apart. And I'm like, no, that took so much of my time. I worked on that by hand all night long just to see parts of my dress coming apart because she didn't like it. I was sad. Very sad.
Yeah, that boils down to what I was saying. It's hard to be a creator and work for another creator.
Yeah.
In your case, you were told exactly what to do, but that little creative spark kicked in and you're like, maybe if I just add this, and it backfired.
Yeah.
That was your bad. You were told to do this, nothing more, nothing less. But when you're a creator, you just kind of add your little spice to it, and sometimes it flies, and in that case, it didn't.
And when you do that, sometimes it adds on more time to your project. I spent an extra, I want to say 5 hours on the little thing that I did, thinking that it was gonna blow her mind.
Yeah.
That shit was 5 hours down the drain that I will never get back. And I had to sit there for another 5 hours to try to fix the situation. So, lesson learned. I'm
going to pass on a very important lesson I learned when I was trying to intern in the recording studios in Atlanta and stuff. I learned this in college. A lot of my professors and career guidance counselors, and even the people I interview with, they all said this. One of the lessons is something I've said before. Do you want to make art or do you want to make money? Because when you want to make art, you can do that somewhere else on your own dime.
Yeah.
You want to make money, then you just do the task that's laid in front of you.
Yeah.
And then what I learned as an intern, you're not paid to think. Just do what I tell you.
Right.
That's it.
Right. I know that now, and I will never do that again, but you get so into what you're doing, and then you get so inspired by your senpai that you just think you're one of a kind. They're looking at you in your eyes yeah, I got you. You know what's going on in their mind. You don't. You don't know what's going on. Me speaking as a creator, I've been there. I used to put on my own fashion shows and do my own thing. I would tell people, and people would try to help me all the time. I'm the type of person that would give you step-by-step instruction how to do something because it's what I want. I will sit there until I'm blue in the face and say, hey, you got this? I'll tell them everything that I want. You got this? Then the person turns around and just doesn't do anything that I said. And I'm like, what was the point of me standing here and talking to you until I'm almost out of breath just for you to not do anything I said? So I get it. I get it.
Some of the studios I was in, the interns, even the assistant engineers, they weren't allowed to talk to the clients. Only the main engineer could talk to the client.
Yeah.
Why? For that reason.
Yeah.
They don't want you messing up whatever deal they got going on. We've both been there. You and I have put on lots of events. I've thrown parties. You've had fashion shows. We've been in charge of people. We've done it multiple times. We're experienced at it. But every time, isn't there always someone who's never done anything even close to this? Don't they always have some smart idea that you should try? And then it's always no shit, don't you think I thought about that? And these examples could be something as simple as, you should try to make as much money as you can with this party.
Jeez.
No shit. I wanted to throw this party and lose money. I never thought about how I can make more money. Or they just give you some general idea. You know what would be great for your fashion show, Shauna? professional models that have worked like LA Fashion Week. It's like, no shit, bitch. If I could afford them, you wouldn't be on this runway.
The way sometimes I just feel like Doctor Strange to be like, I've seen every scenario. I know every single ending. I've been through it. Just do what I say.
But that's what you just did.
I know.
And that's what I was doing with the video editing as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just give them what they say and leave it at that, because you're never going to win. It's just a waste of your time, and then you'll just have to go back and do it.
Yeah.
That's the struggle of being a creator who's aspiring to, be the one that is someone's senpai. It's hard to sit in those shadows. That's why they tell people to shut the hell up. You're not paid to think. That's not your job.
You get carried away, and then at the end of it, you're just out of the job. I didn't get fired from what I did. just throwing that out there. I didn't get fired, but I was told, and I listened, and that was it.
So I guess that kind of answered one of my questions, was what was one of the biggest negatives of working for that senpai? And there it is. You had your own creative thought, fashion and costume designs right there in your lane.
I lost control.
See, at least with me, I was just editing videos. So it's not like I could add footage of myself in there, It's like, exactly. It's like I just had to work with what was there. But, I still got to choose between like transitions and like captions or effects and stuff like that, but still, sometimes you gotta keep your mouth shut.
You just walked in front of the camera.
I know.
Rude.
All up in the camera. Sorry, this is our other cat, Yue. She doesn't sit still like Katara did in last week's episode, how Katara just sat right here or on our last. But Yue, she's feisty.
She's an example of taking creative control when nobody told you to get in the scene, Missy.
Yeah, and she got beef with a squirrel that's out the window, and she's been looking for that squirrel all day. So what lesson did you just learn, Shauna?
Don't be a creative genius. Do what you are told.
Shut up and work.
Shut up and work.
That's a shorter version of what you just said. Shut up and do what I paid you for. Stupid girl. Shush. Now that Shauna's learned that lesson, let's move on to the final senpai we want to talk about. This next person is a senpai to many. We're talking about Yaya Han.
Yes.
A lot of people ask me all the time about what it's like to work with Yaya Han and to work for Yaya Han. We have been on both ends of that table. We've worked with her when we hosted a couple events in Chicago where she was my co-host. That time, I cut her the check to work our event. So technically, you could say I was the boss. I just say co-host because that's the nice thing to say, even though I cut the check, so I was the boss. But we have flipped that coin through the relationships we built from those events. Shana and I have both worked for her. Let's start with working her booth. Y'all don't know stress at a con until you have worked a Yaya Han booth. Oh my gosh, she trumps everyone else's booth.
Yeah.
Most of the time, if not all the time.
Oh, yeah.
You guys don't understand how many people come to see her at her booth. One of the jobs at a Yaya Han booth, especially at a big event like Anime Expo, you need one full-time person to man that monstrous line. Y'all used to go into a booth, there might be 5-6 people in front of it and everyone can fit in that booth. Yaya Han's line at Anime Expo will stretch over 100 people deep and block every booth in its way. I don't even know how many times con staff and security yelled at us for fire hazards because the lines would block the aisleways. She tries to request like a corner booth a lot, but sometimes, you get what you get. And that year, oh my God, that line blocked so many people's booths. Do you remember that nightmare?
Oh, yeah.
I had to work that line. I had to hold the sign that was like, Yaya's line ends here. But at some point, it stretched out so far that I had to just walk down the line and give the last person the paddle so I could be up towards the front of the line and just direct traffic. Also had to tell people not to block someone else's booth. Working for this senpai, there's so many levels to it, and that's just one of it. So it's hard to say in general if it was good or bad. So y'all just got to take down every section that we experience. So we'll use that for an example. We'll start with Anime Expo, where I worked in line. That was a hot and sweaty job. It was a lot of running back and forth and apologizing to other booths. Sorry that this line is so long and it's blocking your booth. But on the other hand, hey, you got some traffic in front of your booth.
Yeah.
So like what I was doing was going to every booth and trying to make them feel good and encourage all the people to check out their merchandise. A lot of booths were cool with it. They're like, nah, thank you. We've been slow all day till Yaya's line just blew our booth away. So a lot of booths were very happy that these people were forced to look at their merchandise.
Yeah. Working for the superhero stuff booth was kind of the same thing. It was people weren't really walking by and just not caring, but like it was more of a fact where you had to be the one to gather people around to look, to stop and look. Because sometimes people are, especially at Comic Cons, people are more on their way somewhere or doing something else and not really taking time to look at things. So the tactic of giving away free buttons was to get people to come closer.
To stop them.
And talk,
But here's Yaya just delivering you free people.
Yeah.
These people are in line anyway, so they need something to do.
Oh, yeah.
When we say they need something to do, sometimes these lines could be an hour or two longer. If you really wanted to meet her, you would wait that line. But these booths, they lucked out because these people looked at their stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would be working the other side of the booth, and then I would see vendors from other sides of the convention would come over and be like, thank you so much for having this booth here, because if people weren't waiting in line for this one, they wouldn't have seen anything that was going on around them. Again, like especially during a comic convention, people are just like go go go, but like if they're waiting in line for someone or looking at something a little too long, turn your head a little bit to the right or the left, and they can see a whole new world.
That was one lesson I definitely learned from that experience of just working the line. Just the respect of your booth neighbors means so much. We could have just been dicks and just said, you know what, screw everyone else's booth. But because we were cordial and worked with everyone and encouraged that line to shop over there, everyone benefited.
So let me tell you a little bit about my side of working for Yaya Han for the very first time. So before Yaya even got to her booth, you know, she's getting ready for the day. She's putting her costume on. She'll have people down at her booth working, like selling her ears, you know, the animal ears, the wings.
And selling her accessories.
Her accessories and her pictures and everything. So before she's there, you're still selling her merchandise. When I first worked for Yaya Han, and I'm like, you know, thinking it's easy, like cool, like there's a nice flow of people, like people are just coming to the booth, buying whatever, and then, you know, going away. I was just there, like, conducting the sales, and I'm just like, yeah, like a cute little sales girl. Like, yeah, this is easy. Boy, was I, like, in for a surprise when Yaya finally showed up, and people knew that she was there finally. That line went from, like, a couple people coming in and out to, like, triple the people that were flocking to this one booth.
Yeah.
And I was at some point like an octopus, like just grabbing things and like trying to keep up.
Oh, yeah. Because people are trying to buy things and get it signed while she's there.
Yeah.
A lot of people will still come and buy things when it's slower to support, but they'll come back with the merchandise to get it signed. Some people do wait in line the whole time until she comes back. Sales like quadruple.
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, Yaya's here. And just being in her presence, people just want to spend more money.
Oh, yeah.
Because the more things they buy, the more things she signs, the more time she spends with you. And that's how some people play the game.
Yeah.
I've seen dudes like buy 10 cat ears, like, what are you going to do with all those?
Nothing.
He don't care. She just needs to sign all of them. It buys him more time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like that episode from the show on Netflix, Rexco, when the guy had bought all of the fandom tickets for
The
them to
handshake tickets?
The handshake tickets, yeah.
Just so he could spend 6 minutes with Rexco.
He's like, all right, giving them the tickets, like telling them like a piece of his heart and like everything.
I didn't know selling accessories was that brutal.
It's just a part of their branding. You might think like, yeah, it's just cat ears, it's just wings, it's just whatever, but like those little things give you an excuse to talk to your senpai.
Yeah. There was a time where I finally got done with line duty. I got to come behind the booth and help me sell the accessories. I thought we was killing it. We was making sales left and right. Then once the line finally kind of slowed down and Yaya's husband, Brian, got to step away and come and talk to us, we thought we were doing so good. He's like, let me show you. Then we watched him sell ears. He was selling more than both of us combined. Like this man was a magician on the sales floor. He was just schooling us, just watching this man work. I'm like, he is a professional vendor.
I'm used to people just coming to the booth and buying what they want.
Yeah.
This man was going to people one by one in line who weren't even like looking at the booth itself because he could see that from behind, the table. And like, I'm just like talking to people who are coming up. He's going to them saying, hey, check this out. Hey, you would look beautiful in these ears and these wings. Put this on. Try it on. Here's a mirror. Here you go, honey. Let's do this. I'm like, excuse me. Like, I thought I was doing something.
True. He was selling things to people before they even made it to the counter.
He's like, try it on, honey. You look beautiful. He was like, he turned into a whole nother person. I'm like, who are you? Because this guy, like Yaya's husband, Brian, I love you to death, by the way. You are, shout out. I love you so much. If you're not talking to him, he's quiet, but he's quiet for a reason. He's observing the crowd. He's looking at people one by one. And I give it to him because I could see that in his eyes. If you pay attention to this man, you can see the calculations going on in his mind. Like, this person's looking at these ears, but kind of put it back. And like, he's looking at these people and trying to decipher who he can sell to and who is like kind of standoffish. He's working his ass off, even when you think he's not.
He definitely showed us and schooled us. What being a vendor is really like what a good vendor looks like. I learned so much just from that one con.
He made the line longer from people who weren't even like trying to get in any line. He was like, saw somebody dawdling around, was like, hey, come here. Come here. You want to be here right now? And they're like, yeah, I do want to be here right now. And just buy like a whole bunch of stuff.
That was definitely one of the lessons I learned from both of them, actually. I believe it was San Francisco Comic Con. It was only Yaya and I. I was working her booth with her. She was doing her prints, and then I was doing the accessories. And even with her back turned to me, Yaya knew how good or bad I wasn't doing just by how I was interacting with people.
Yeah.
Once again, I thought I was killing it. We were making decent sales for a small con. As soon as she got a break from her line, she came to me and like, Renji, you gotta do better than this, man. If you want to work for me, you gotta hustle harder.
Damn.
I know you got it in you. Watch. Let me tell you what to do. I sat back and watched Senpai work. Sure enough, she was flipping ears and making them sales. Like, holy shit. She's like, see, you got to interact more. She taught me how not to wait for people to come to the booth. Just like Brian was trying to show us. You make these people come to your booth. You command them. And just in those quick 15 minutes, I learned so much. I was not ready for that Jedi life.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, oh, okay, I'm just a kid with a stick and she has a lightsaber.
I thought that the line had died down and like there was time to just, kind of relax for a minute and like get a drink of water. As I'm about to put the water bottle to my lips, Yaya wasn't even looking at me. I was like just about to take a sip. And she's like, Shana, come here. I'm like, yes.
She knows.
She's like, come here. I'm like, I was just sipping some. Okay. Just walk to Senpai, ask her what she needs. It doesn't matter what she was doing at the time. Just ask her what she needs. She's like, come here. I need you to go on my 3DS and welcome people from my lobby. You know, like when you go on 3DS and you have to add people from when they added you. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I'm like sitting there trying not to mess anything up and like welcoming virtual people inside her lobby on a 3DS. I was like, this woman is a true hustler. Yeah. She is a true hustler.
Yeah,
seriously.
That's a whole nother level of marketing too. Oh, a lot of people at cons have the 3DS on trying to get the, what's that shit called? Like the hall passes, or people leave the 3DS on, and as other people with 3DSs walk past you, I'm drawing a brain fart, but that's what she was doing too. Mm-hmm. She was turning it on and drawing people, and people would come up to the booth, be like, "Oh, I saw you on my 3DS." Mm-hmm. Like, wow.
She's there in real life, and she's there virtually. Mm-hmm. She knew her audience both virtually and real life. Like,
she knew how to get that money. She knew how to get people to come to her booth. That's just the experience of working her booth. Let's get into working right next to her when she's dealing with her fans one-on-one. Mm-hmm. The way Yaya's booth is set up a lot of the times is she has one table where she's selling her merchandise, but then she has another table where she's selling her prints. Mm-hmm. A bulk of her line is in that print line because that's also the same line where you meet her. Mm-hmm. I've had a cosplay guest booth before. Shauna's had one. I've worked a few of my friends' booths before. Nothing will ever quite compare to working for Yaya's booth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people may have a handful of people every now and then, but I have never worked a booth where it's been busy 90% of the time when that person is there. Mm-hmm. When Yaya's there, when Yaya's at her booth, it's like Krispy Kreme turn on that fresh hot light. You know that's time to get in line. It's time to get in that drive-through. What was your experience?
So the very first time I was working for Yaya at her booth, I was doing the ears, her accessories, everything. I'm minding my business. I'm seeing her do her thing, selling her prints, talking to people. I'm like, cool, she's got this. I got this. All of a sudden, she calls me over. I'm like, did I do something wrong? Did I count change wrong? What happened? So I'm thinking the worst. She calls me over and she's like, hey, I need you after I picked the picture that they want me to sign. After I sign it, I need you to put it in a plastic baggie and then give it back to me and help me move this line along a little faster. I'm like, you trust me to do that? Like, me? Me? So I'm like, okay, I gotta get into game mode. I'm in game mode right now. Like, I gotta like pay attention and not mess this up. As she's talking to people, signing pins and whatever, I'm hearing her talk to these people. And some of the people that are coming through are, you know, they're kids. Sometimes they're kids. Sometimes they're, you know, teenagers or whatever. And she's being innocent with them, being careful. And then there's people who are coming by who are saying things like, you know, they want them to sign specifically like what they want her to say on certain pictures. But then there's also people coming up to her saying like, oh, I don't know if you remember me. You know, I saw you at this convention X amount of years ago and I was wearing this costume and blah, blah, blah. You probably won't remember. And like, Yaya would be like, hold up. No, I do remember you. You were a very good person. I remember we talked for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. But she not only did that with one person, she did that with a lot of people. I probably wouldn't have remembered a lot of people in that way. But like Yaya was very, very just personable with those kinds of things. And even if they didn't say that, she's like, oh yeah, I remember you. You're from Dragon Con.
I was surprised how many times she remembered people just in general. I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
I was blown away after meeting hundreds of people in one day that she would remember a certain person from years prior. Mind you, this is just one event where she easily met 1,000 people, but yet she can recall someone from 6 years ago. Let's just pause right there. A lot of y'all be like, 1,000 people, big deal. That's one day, times that by a weekend at a con, and Yaya does 26 to 30 events a year. That's 26 to 30 weekends a year. So that's a lot of people a year. Then multiply that by how many years, and she can still remember those details. It made me feel like shit for not remembering people that I just see at one con every year.
Yaya is the type of person who not only goes to conventions all the time, but she travels the world just on some regular shit. And like, just like you just said, like just for her to remember people from years and years and years ago, pre-pandemic. But like, she would go to a lot of events plus other vacations.
Yeah.
So like, there's no way me personally, I could do that. But that just shows you just how special Yaya Han is. And a lot of y'all out there who want to talk ill about her, it's like, you don't know her. You don't know the kind of person she is. Stand next to her, work at her booth, or whatever it is. You will find out just how genuine this woman is. And I love her for that.
From working by her side, hearing people tell their stories of her or how they met her or what she's done for them, it really makes you realize why she's Yaya Han, why she has a professional career, why she was one of the forefathers, the pioneer of this cosplay community. I've got to work with Yaya a couple more times more than Shana has. Like I said, I've done some one-on-one conventions with her, so I can pop my collar and say I've been on tour with Yaya. Weird flex, but okay. I'll take it. Shit. I've had my fair share of being right next to her. Not gonna lie, there's times where I weasel my way into being the one that works right next to her, the one that helps her with her fans. Not that I want to be right next to Yaya so I can like sniff her hair when she's not looking or anything. Like, I know what shampoo you use, Yaya, and it's not herbal essence. No, I don't do shit like that. But I like hearing what the fans have to say. I like hearing their stories because that inspires me to work harder so I can hear fans tell me their stories. There's those positive stories, those inspiring stories, but then you hear about the Yaya creeps. There's been some times where we've had to use the safe word, where Yaya's had to have me come and intervene. Once again, this was something that Yaya and Brian had to teach me and signs to watch out for. And there's been some dudes that have just been really scary, as you can imagine. She's had competitors in cosplay contests that she's judged come back and cuss her out. Were you there at that C2E2 when that Bumblebee cosplayer came and cussed her out so hard?
I came later that day.
Oh, you weren't there. So Yaya had just judged the cosplay contest. This guy, that was a pretty impressive.
I've seen that Bumblebee cosplayer before.
Yeah.
And I know a little backstory to him too.
Yaya's judging craftsmanship. Just because your cosplay is huge and you're on stilts, it doesn't mean you have the best craftsmanship. Bigger isn't always better. He came up to her booth, cussed her out in front of everybody.
Wow.
He came, kind of moved through the crowd and got right up to her booth. There was a line and everything. And he just spoke his mind. You know what? That was bullshit. I should have won this cosplay contest. I've taken this costume around the country. I've won over $100,000 wearing this costume. This is bullshit. You're just discriminating against me. I'm like, what is she, Transformerist? Is she a Decepticon and she's discriminating against Autobots? Like, what's your beef, Bumblebee? I'm like, I'll kick you off your stilts right now if you don't shut the hell up. Like, but Yaya was very cool. I was like a little pit bull, just waiting, like, just say something. Just say something. We in Chicago. My homies are at this con. Somebody will knock this dude off his stilts and mess him up. And Yaya just kind of stood up, told everyone to stay back. And she was just like, I understand your frustration. I've judged this cosplay contest as fair as I could. And you just weren't the first place winner. Like, she was very calm about it. And he just cussed her out some more and then stormed off. And then he made a whole thing on the internet about it. But even after he left, Yaya didn't turn around and be like, oh, screw that guy, and start talking shit. And she's just like, dude, this guy's already yelled at me behind the scenes after he lost. And now he's yelling at me again. It's not like he didn't place. He just didn't get first. He just didn't get that big prize money.
later on that day, I had come to the convention. I had to work that day. And I ended up running into the Bumblebee because that was like my first time seeing this cosplayer,
Mm-hmm.
and he would look really cool. Like he had everything going for him. The cosplay was on point. I just went up to him casually and was like, "Hey, that's a really nice cosplay." And he's like, "Yeah," and I guess he was coming off the high of just getting through talking shit to Yaya, and then he was like straight up like, "Yeah, it's a good cosplay, you know." I've been around the world and yeah, I've won money. I've won first place at this convention, that convention.
Mm-hmm.
I've won X amount of dollars. I put so much work into this. Turns out this is an older guy, an older gentleman
Yeah.
who made this costume. He's spilling his heart out to me, and all I said was nice cosplay, dude. I'm just like, dude, like it's cool. Like I don't know what to tell you, but
Mm-hmm.
like good cosplay anyway. But he's just over here like, yeah, you know, I'm used to winning all these kinds of monies and costs and contests and everything. I've been around the world, and you know, he just, uh, and sometimes people need to be put in your place. Like that's great. Like you've won all these contests and everything. Like give somebody else a chance. And that's the one thing as a cosplayer, as a creator myself. If I see the same person winning again and again and again and again, it's like, at what point do the judges pick something outside of the box, like
Mm-hmm.
something that isn't gonna be like the shoe in, you know?
Yeah, and again, that dude was banking on bigger is better.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna boil down to craftsmanship, if your lines ain't straight, they ain't straight. If your paint's messed up, your paint's messed up.
And I think like coming from a creative standpoint, there were a lot of great cosplayers
Mm-hmm.
at that convention who could have well as been first place over this guy, and I'm glad that those people won over this guy
Oh
because
yeah.
if you've been all over the world already, like just give somebody else a chance. Now at this point, as you as a creator, you're just stealing candy from babies basically. It's just like you're just expecting a win, and that's not cool.
Yeah. But at the same time, screw that dude.
Yeah, screw that dude.
Screw that dude. There's a lot of competitions where bigger just automatically means better, and he's probably skated by on that. But there is actual contests where they do look at your craftsmanship. You happen to enter one. You saw who the judges were.
Hmm.
You should have knew what you signed up for.
And something like that, I would have like wanted to see at BlizzCon or
Yeah.
something that was like meant for big costumes. But he was at a little convention in Chicago, and it was like one of those things where what I said earlier, he's stealing candy from babies, is like he's just going around thinking that he can just sweep it up and rake it up, you know.
No, but
That's not cool.
where he messed up though was, yeah, the convention itself isn't huge, but that contest was huge.
Oh yeah.
That was a very prestigious cosplay
Mhm.
contest. That's why they brought in the judges that actually know what they're talking
Yeah.
about. For example, Yaya is a person that can sew and craft armor.
Yep.
So she knows the best of both worlds. There's some cons where unfortunately they have a bunch of half-ass judges.
Hmm.
So they do go bigger is better. Anything armor, you win.
Hmm.
But Yaya and the other judges at that con, they knew a lot about sewing. So they also understand, hey, this regal ball gown takes way more work than that Bumblebee costume.
Hmm.
And it's like, yeah, I saw Bumblebee up close. I could have probably made that if I had the time and the patience, but did it mean it was great craftsmanship? No.
Not
It-
necessarily.
It may have taken a long time, but if you didn't do a good job at it, you still didn't do a good job at it.
And I also appreciate the fact that they had people like Yaya and other creators who were judges who actually make their own costumes, who actually understand how costumes are made, not just people who wear costumes and just look pretty. Like, no offense, but like, I'm just playing, but I'm saying, like, you want to have those kinds of judges
Yeah.
judging you, someone who makes their own costumes, who would appreciate another creator. So that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, and for a contest of that caliber with that kind of prize money, I'd be damned if one of the judges didn't make their own stuff. Like, how are you gonna judge me when you don't even know what's going on?
And I hate the excuse, well, I know how things work. I've seen my costume maker make my costume. You're not a judge. I'm sorry. You can't be a judge because you don't know how things are put together. You're not doing it yourself, so you don't appreciate the craft. So how could you be a judge?
Yeah. But anyways, now that we've totally
Anyways.
digressed from what we're talking about, working right next to Senpai Yaya, seeing how she interacts with people, seeing the good and the bad that she has to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to spend too much time talking about specific examples of all the creeps that did come up to the booth, but that's part of the business too. That's one of the biggest eye-opening moments. A lot of people strive for this popularity. They strive for this fame. It isn't until you're right there next to it that you see what it all comes with.
Mm-hmm.
You see the lurkers. You see the stalkers. On the positive side, you see the super fans. You see the adoring people that really love you. But then you also see the people that just hate you. There's so many times where I would catch someone walking past Yaya's booth just to talk out loud how much they hate her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's Yaya Han. She's a bitch. But yet they didn't have enough balls to say it to her, but they just wanted to say it out loud as they walked past her booth.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about some of the negative things, some of the bad things of working for Senpai Yaya Han. Right off the bat, I can say it is definitely hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Not fun in games. That booth goes from 0 to 100 at any given moment. It can go from slow to extremely busy.
Mm-hmm.
Yaya and Brian have a high standard for their brand. If you're not ready for it, it could come off as them being mean or very strict. But what do you expect? This is their livelihood.
Oh, yeah.
This is how they pay their bills. This is how they live. Of course, they want their employees to work to the highest standards that they see fit. Whatever they ask you to do, they're willing to do themselves. So if they give you some like sales or marketing strategy, how to get customers, you see them do it too. What are some of the negatives that you experienced?
Yaya, for me, why I keep saying things like, she catches me off guard and like I just feel like scared when she's talking to me is because I see her as a very stoic kind of person.
Yeah.
If you're not used to someone being that way, just being like, she has her like really fun moments. Don't get me wrong. Like she's a person, but she's just very put together and she carries herself very professionally, and there's no other way I can describe her. It's just a stoic, like hero mode. Like I look at her like how I would love to be in real life, but I'm just not that. And I think that I'm serious, and I think I put off a certain persona, and then I see her, and I'm just like, nope, that ain't me.
Yeah.
So just working with her on a professional level, just her just being a professional mode is something totally different than her herself. And if you're not used to that, you will get caught off guard because at the booth, you're trying to have fun, you're trying to like relax, but then it's just like go, go, go when she's there. And it's just like, you got to be on point. You got to pay attention.
Yeah. It does throw you off. I've had the fortunate pleasure of becoming her friend on a personal level. There is that light switch, that on, off, I'm in business mode. If you're not ready for it, it does throw you off.
Yeah.
I get that though. I see a lot of that in myself.
And that's exactly how I felt when I first met you. I was like, I was on my P's and Q's. I was like, I'm not going to step out of line. Like a toe's not going to even go out of line. Like I was like very uptight around you at first. And that's how I still am to this day with Yaya, even though she is a very fun loving person. But when she's on, she's on.
Yeah. And that's maybe why me and her click so well is because I'm like that. A lot of people who know me, I'm super silly. I'm fun. I'll crack jokes. Yeah. I'm like the dumbest person in the room most of the time. But when you catch me in business mode,
oh yeah,
you don't want to talk to me. You can't even look at me in my eye. You better walk across the street on the other side.
You have little to no words, and that's how she is too. To the point where I don't know what either of you are thinking, so I'm gonna just stay over to the left where I'm not needed until spoken to.
Yeah, so something like that, if you're not used to it, it takes a moment.
Yeah.
You can't take it personal. I mean, I'm not saying this is how she is to the people that come to her booth.
Oh, no,
but
no.
when you're on the other side of the table with her,
yeah,
you got to keep in mind, she's got her game face on. She's got her brain set. So she has to channel all her energy to be ready for the good and the bad.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes when you're behind the booth from her, you don't know what she's thinking because she could be like holding something in her chest. Like when that bumblebee came up to her booth, like you don't know if she's about to go burn this guy's car down or something, or if she's just like, whatever, because that's a part of the job of being a public figure. Yeah, I guess I could see that as a negative because it puts you on edge.
Me personally, I make jokes when something's a little bit too uptight or something's a little bit too stale. I'll be like my hunky-dory self, and then I come across someone like Yaya, and I'm trying to like put it on a smile, and she's like, "This is not the time for that." I'm just like,
"Yes, ma'am."
"Yes, ma'am. Tell me what to do." "Yes, sir." She's not even mad anymore. She is sir.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. What's another negative? Oh, a big one that I see is being guilty by association.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is if someone already doesn't like Yaya or whoever your senpai is because you work with them, you are automatically on the shit list with them. For whatever reason, they don't like that senpai, they don't like you now too.
Because you're of association.
Mm-hmm. On that same note of guilty by association, you also get fakeness by association.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is all the people that want to kiss ass to your senpai are going to kiss ass to you so they can be in that position with your senpai.
There's so many people who come into me personally and be like, "How do you work with Yaya? How do I do that myself?"
Obvious much?
Yeah.
How can I get that? Gimme, gimme, gimme. How can gimme, gimme, I gimme, gimme, gimme? It's like, it just becomes a moment where every word is blurred out and all you hear is gimme, 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 Yaya, gimme, gimme, gimme,
it's like
senpai.
At some point they're not happy for you. They just want to know how they can get in on it. I felt that way with working with King Vader. Felt the same way working with so-and-so and so-and-so. It's like you can't give a person their moment of shine. Like, let them work with that person. And these people aren't even friends with me. You're not even acquainted with me.
Yeah.
Who are you? Where do you come from?
Yep.
I don't get it.
Yeah. These people come out the woodwork. I can speak volumes about that. After working with Yaya for the first time, people's opinions about me changed if they wanted to benefit off of me to get to Yaya or whoever else I work with. And it's so obvious. It's so ridiculous how some of these people don't understand how obvious they are trying to climb the ladder. We ain't friends in real life, and we ain't even friends on social media, but here you are blowing up my inbox. Nah, get out of here. That is a big negative to me because, like, you don't know who's real in your life anymore.
Yeah.
You don't know who's just trying to know you to know who you know. I guess that's a negative about working with any senpai that other people also see as senpai.
Oh, and my favorite is like, oh, you don't like Yaya Han? But you know that I work for her, and now all of a sudden it's like great news to you? Like you can get a piece of it somehow? Stop being fake, please, because that is not cute at all.
Yeah, that's funny too. I forgot about the people that switch positions. Like, oh, I used to hate her, but if you can get close to her, then I can too. And then it kind of insults you in a way, like, oh, you don't think I worked hard to be in my position? That is just
it's
that,
just
that
so easy. Pulling an Ariana Grande, switching the positions for you, like, no, honey, no, hell no.
I guess just an overall negative of working for your senpais is just like, you have to be strong and not take it personal.
Yeah,
you have to understand that this is their business. This is their livelihood. So if they get mad or if they yell at you or any negative things that happen, it's because you're no longer a friend. You're an employee. And this may be your little fantasy, but this is their life. What you do affects if they pay rent this month, if they eat next month, you know? So
these are the creators that you are looking up to when they're showing you that being creative and working in your creative field can pay your bills. People like her are doing that, and they're showing you that it can be possible.
All right. One last quick question to close out this podcast. Would you work for your senpais again? And what would you do differently?
I definitely would, because you can always learn something from your senpais, because like I just said, these are the people that you're looking up to give you inspiration as a creator yourself, to do these things for yourself and brand yourself in a type of way.
Yeah.
They're paving the way for you.
Yeah.
So what I would definitely work with these people again. The only thing I would do different is shut my damn mouth and do what I am told to do, because you're just contributing to their dream. And that's it. Shut your damn mouth and get to work.
I definitely would work for my senpais again, for better or for worse. Everything I've said, I would work for them all over again. What I would do different is I would charge them so much more.
Ow.
Oh, sorry. I just chopped Shana. I just chopped her with my hand swipe. I would charge them so much more. I'm going to look at their Instagram. I'm going to see what kind of life they be living. If I get to go to your house and I can count how many bedrooms you have and a garage and see what kind of cars you drive, I'm charging you more. Actually, no, take it back. Before I even set a rate, I want to go to your house. Let me see what kind of money you working with.
Because nobody be like flexing that hard on the ground.
Once I know how much you got, then I could charge you appropriately. That's what I would do different. Sometimes, you feel for a creator, right? So, you want to charge on a curve, cut them a little discount. You see them up and coming, but that's different. If I see you already making 6 figures or more, best believe you about to pay me some good money to work for you.
I would do it more on the fact that if you're demanding me to be on a certain level, but you not telling me what you want, I'm going to charge you on that. I'm going to charge you on your indecisiveness, because you are wasting my time.
Charge per hour so they can make all the changes they want. Better yet, take prepayment just based on the estimate of what this project's going to take to get done. And then if it runs longer, charge per hour after that. Because when you in this creative field, you're going to make some changes and you're going to waste so much time editing. So that's what I would do differently too. Learn the value of your time. All right, guys. I guess that wraps up working for your senpais. Hope you guys learned a thing or two from our experiences. That's what we do here at the Shinobi Squad Podcast. We like to share our real life stories so y'all can learn or laugh at our mistakes. It's about that time in the podcast where we tell you to subscribe, click like if you're watching on YouTube, download and share. Y'all guys know what to do. Definitely, guys. We trying to take this podcast to another level. We got some big plans coming up, but we need y'all help. It don't cost no money to hit the share button, to tell a friend about us. We trying to get some special guests, but we're not going to do that until we get the views up. Collaborations have to be beneficial to both parties. So we got to get these views and these downloads up so y'all can help with that. And it don't cost you any money. If you watch it on YouTube, go to Spotify, go to the Podbean link, download the audio version, help us get our numbers up so that way we can start getting these guests. They'll see the numbers and be like, cool, people mess with y'all podcast, then we'll come on your show. Then you can have guests. But anyways, follow us on the social medias. The links are below. I'm not going to even name them off because the list grows every week because we try to be in everything. Except dirty underwear cracks. So anyways, thanks for tuning into this week's episode of the Shinobi Squad Podcast. Hopefully next time you see us, we'll have this set up a little nicer. I'm fan service Renji.
Shana Mostella.
See you guys next week.
Bye, guys.